We're learning about something quite awkward, a story, a give and take, negotiation, speaking, as if it sounds like some sort of newspaper, political journal. We want to know, why is the Torah so lengthy about this matter? We know the Torah is very concise, very short, and very divine, and we like to answer that question. Furthermore, Avraham Avinu, living already in the land of Canaan for several decades now, he doesn't have a place to bury his wife. At the same time, he's been promised several times this land of Canaan, this land of Israel. Here he is. He says something that today we hope to resolve the ongoing contradiction. How can Avram say ger v'toshav? Okay? They are two distinct matters. By the way, if I asked you to tell me on these two words, how many cantillation signs are there? What would you tell me?
Under Natati?
No, on ger v'toshav. Probably have to look inside your. You think you know it by heart, all the cantillation signs?
No.
Under the words ger v'toshav, how many cantillation signs? There is one. Right? That was the correction I told the person that read the Torah this morning where we live. I told him, listen, God gave us one cantillation sign. Don't give us inflation, give us two. Ger v'toshav anochi. And that raises the question. One cantillation sign for two opposing words. Avram, and the point we want to share right now, gentlemen, is the following. Avram is called the Anak Sheba Anakim, the giant of giants in faith. Avram Avinu has in his repertoire God's promise about the land of Israel. Lezaracha, next word.
Natati.
Natati et haaretz hazot. I gave this land and not etain. What does it mean to an Avraham Avinu and to us, the followers of Avraham Avinu, the students of Avraham Avinu, that we receive a promise already in the past tense? Avraham Avinu is only one family now in the land. Thousands upon thousands, if not 10,000s, are holding on to this land. They have military entities as well. And here Avraham Avinu comes to the people in Bnei Chet, which is mentioned, if you can count, Bnei Chet, 10 times altogether. My father-in-law, Rav Horowitz, counted 10 times. Why is Bnei Chet mentioned so many times? And here he is, he's humbling himself. Vayishtachavu. Once here, once later on here in the parak, twice. He's humbling himself. There's no doubt that he's acting like a ger, like a stranger, like a foreigner. That you must succumb, submit, lower, humble yourself. He does that. But at the same time, Avraham Avinu is acting in the following way. Natati et haaretz hazot. Whatever God says, fait complet. It's done already. It's ex post facto. There's no doubt. It's given already. The land of Canaan belongs to? Who says?
Hashem.
Natati. It's yours. Now what do you do? Every one of us is Avraham Avinu. How do we act? Do we just sit back and wait? God gave it to me. I believe He gave it to me. Avraham Avinu doesn't just sit back and wait. He believes it's his. And he's going to negotiate to a certain way that he's going to make sure in the practical world, that it's his. He has to go out. Imagine, the land belongs to him, and he wants to go out and pay full price. Sometimes, when you're in Rome, you have to act as the Romans. You must make a full, important, complete accomplishment, a full acquisition, even though it belongs to you. Because we all saw briefly the Rashi on Ger v'toshav. Ger, I'm a stranger. Maybe you'll give it to me. But if not, Rashi says, Vitoshav, I'm a settler, I'm a resident. What were the words, the exact words of Rashi? If you wish, you'll give it to me, I'm a ger. And if not, I'll be a toshav and I'll take it according to law. We asked yesterday, do you think that's the way Avraham approached himself in front of Bnei Chet, or in front of, what's the name of the mayor of the city? Ephron ben Zochar. It's unlikely that he spoke that way. He would say, go, take a walk. Probably like one of you said something like that yesterday. Take a walk and get out of here. Rather, as my father-in-law writes, Avraham Avinu believes deep down in his heart that the land really belongs to him. But he must act on two different dimensions. The dimension of faith, and number two, to be practical, to be realistic. These nations living here, the Bnei Chet, they are only capable of working on which plateau, on which level? Not out of faith. Only on the physical, realistic, to be mitziuti, to be realistic in level. That's what they're probably, and therefore they see in Avraham a ger. They don't see in him as a toshav, a permanent settler. He's not a balabayit. Remember when Avraham arrived, the Torah said, "Vaknani az ba'aretz." Why did it say that? Just to show that Avraham understands that they're the balabayit. They're running this place. They own this place, and now you have to find a way to act, to do something without deception in order to acquire it. So Avraham understands this matter and he uses a tactic. He bows down once, he bows down twice. Value of Marat Machpelah. Ephron does not know that. He knows the spiritual value of this land. Like we said yesterday, that it's written in the holy books, it's the entrance to Gan Eden. But he's acting at the same time that what God says is done. It belongs to him. If God said Lizaracha natati, God didn't say Lizaracha etain, because what God says is done, is a fact. What God promises is a fact. And therefore this dimension of time doesn't exist. I will give, I'm giving, I have given, because God is Haya, Hove, V'yeh. So therefore, it's given already. It belongs to him. And now, I want to go further into the words, and let's understand even better what he does. Right now, he meets up with Ephron Achiti, okay, in Pasuk Chet. Vayidaber itam, he's asking for the meeting. Leimor im yeshet nafshechem likbor et meiti milefanai. Shema'uni ufiguli befrom ben Zochar, get me a meeting. V'yiten li, he's using the second time the word yiten li, and apparently there are those that understand v'yiten li in the form of a matana, a gift. But Avram is not going to mean that. We're going to see it in a moment. V'yiten li et marata machpelah shel, I'm reading verse 9. Asher b'ktzei sadeo, how for how much? Bechesef malei. Bechesef malei. Okay? I know some of you Jewish proprietors wanted to get a discount, to get a freebie maybe. No freebie, no discounts. Bechesef malei, for the full price. Yitinen ali, he'll give to me. So you see the word latate means in some form of sale. You see it written explicitly. That's maybe how they talk. You'll give it to me for this price. We even use it today, I think, right? For buying and selling. The word giving, yes or no? Bechesef malei yitnenali betochachem lachuzah kaver. Avram, I want to emphasize a point I didn't say yesterday. And achuzah, we said yesterday, is forever, for eternal. And achuzah also is like a yerusha, it's an inheritance. It belonged to my grandparents, my ancestors. Avraham Avinu is interested in something that will be for the Jewish people for all generations. And therefore uses the word for achuzah. Now the word achuzah doesn't only have to mean an estate that'll belong now to my family forever, but it'll mean that it's a kinyan based upon God's promise. It was really mine. I want to try to help prove to all of you that Avraham is thinking that this already belongs to him. If this already belongs to him, is anyone familiar with the laws? Rambam, the laws of selling lands in the land of Israel. Where will I find the laws of selling land in Israel? Where will I find these matters in the Chumash first? Where will I look this up? Does anyone remember where will I find this? Vayikra Cafe. Vayikra 25, when we talk about the laws of Shemitah, selling of land. The land could be a bona fide sale until the year of? No, the Yovel. Until the Yovel comes. Yovel year is number? 50. What's called in English? The Jubilee year? The Yovel year. We have laws. We have laws regarding sale. I want to mention 3 halachot, an article that my dear father Rav Horowitz wrote. One law, listen to this. The land of Israel, the Rambam writes, the land of Israel, whether it's a field or just a plot of land, can never be sold forever. Litzmitut, as the Torah says. If it would be sold forever, the sale is not a sale. The land should go back to its original owner. A law in the Gemara based on the Chumash. Number 2, in the Rambam, if you give a field as a gift to someone, it comes back to you. When? Yovel year. Number 3, you needed to sell land. Why? Because you needed to liquidate some assets, you needed cash flow, whatever. And now you only have part of the money to get it back. Can you redeem half of a field? No. Either all of it shall you redeem or nothing. The term that the Rambam uses based on the Gemara and the Chumash, lig'ol. Can you please spell it, Thomas? Lig'ol, the verb? Without a yud. Don't give away so many yuds. Lig'ol. Geula. Why does the Torah and then Chazal use the word geula? You will redeem something that belongs to you. To get back land is not buying. It is geula. It's redeeming. It belongs to you. Therefore, there are 3 ways of acquiring land. I can acquire land by buying land, and that's a sale. I can get land by receiving a gift, or I can get land by doing geula. If I sold it to someone within those 50 years, I can get it back, and that's called geula. We want to explain now in these upcoming psukim that the faith of Avraham Avinu, where he believes that the land belongs to him, because whatever God promises is done. Is done. And his faith was so strong that he's able to turn this upcoming negotiation in his eyes and according to the truth, that he's acting as a person who is not a buyer. He's not a proprietor. He is a goel. He's going to redeem a field that's his, that belongs to him. And right now, the fact that it's in the hands of Mr. Ephron ben Sochar, Nachon, he's maintaining, he's what we call in the Gemara, muchzak, he's holding on, seizing onto it, but it's only something temporary. If your belief system is so strong that it's based that whatever God promises is done, that will have an impact how you manage your life, your business, and so on and so forth. And therefore, it gives us a new meaning to the word achuzat kever. He says here at the end of verse, where are we holding where he said achuzat kever? At the end of verse 9, have me a meeting with Ephron, and I want to give him full price, and he'll give me a field for achuzat kever. Achuzat kever means it'll be forever. And it always did belong to me even earlier. And this will explain why Avraham Avinu is not interested in a sale, and he's not interested in a gift. When you buy something in a sale, it wasn't yours earlier. If you get something as a gift, it too was not yours. But if you're going to be doing the process called geula, then you are redeeming something that belonged to you. Let's see if we can find this in the words in this upcoming matter. Pasuk Yud V'Efron Yoshev B'toch Menachem. He doesn't sit on a villa on top of the mountain. He sits with his people. Vayan Efron Achiti et Avraham. And apparently the meeting is set up. And he now responds to Avraham. Everyone's listening. This is not under the table. Because it says, Be'oznei v'neched. You see that in verse 10? Be'oznei v'neched. In the ears. Everyone's listening. This is public information. L'chol ba'ei shari ro lemor. Remember, a lot of people have gathered here for the purpose of the funeral. People are here. All the people have come here. She's a famous woman. And the people of Chet call Avraham Avinu Nesi Elokim. You're a prince. Wow. When God promised me in Lech Lecha, when I was in Haran, Vescha legoy gadol, vavarechecha, va'agadela shemecha, here it is. The Ramban and some others say, the fact that your name will be famous is happening already now. Va'gadla shemecha. You are a divine prince in our eyes. You're famous. You're great. You're special. So that promise has now begun to be fulfilled. Pasuk Yud Aleph, the clear answer of Ephron. He wants to honor Avraham. Lo adoni shema'eni. I'm sorry. You listen to me. Hasadeh natati lach. V'me'ara asher bo lecha netatiya. Ephron is convinced he wants the honor of what? Giving a gift. How many things? Two things, and they are, number one,
the field,
Sadeh, and the cave. I see myself in a few days right now walking to that on that field. Okay, and I'm going to be in Hebron proper, God willing. And right now, I'm leaving Beit Schneerson, the house that was populated by Menucha Rechel, by her father gave her the tzivui to leave her from Russia and go to live in Hebron. And I'm right now walking in the field, coming from the west, going to the east. You can see that it's like it's a straight valley where great for a field is. And then I'm going to go up to the cave. Some explain that the heart, the main drag of the city of Hebron, which is called Rehov David HaMelech, that is the field that leads up to the Marah. The Marah is like on a little hill, built up, built above. This is what Avraham is interested in, not just the Me'ara, the cave, which is of great importance, but he wants the area as well. He wants the Sadeh. Take it. Take it as a matana. And in front of everyone. Is that good? Pasuk Yud Bet, verse 12, Vayishtachu Avram lefnei ha'aretz. The second time that he is bowing down, the first time in front of the mayor, so to speak, Ephron. And now, Pasuk Yud Gimel, Vayidaber el Ephron. Wow. Vayidaber. Okay, and Avram is tough. He's speaking tough. It doesn't say, Vayomer Avram. Vayidaber. Kasher. He's speaking clear-cut things. Vayidaber el Ephron b'oznei ha'aretz lemor ach. Look at me. Did you follow the reading right now, what I just read? Don't look inside, Thomas. Ach. Hey. Hey, bro. How do you spell this ach right now? Mr.
Aleph Chet Yud.
Spell it.
Aleph Chet.
Hey, bro, it's not spelled Aleph Chet. It's spelled Aleph Chaf. Sophie, because it means but. Ach. Okay, and I was tricking just to check to see if your eyes are on the pasuk. Ach. However, I disagree with you. Imatalu shema'eni. Halavai, that you listen to me. And now look at the verb he uses. Natati kesef hasadeh. Natati, in which tense? I gave it, it's gone. I gave it. He didn't give it. But he means there's no other deal but giving you full money. Kach mimeni, take it from me. Vekbarat meiti sham, and I'll bury my dead. Vayan Ephron et Avram le'mor lo. Pasuk Tedvav. Adoni shema'eni. Listen to me. Eretz. Arba me'ot shekel kesef. Beini uvein chamayi. 400 silvers, like, a few tens of thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars. I don't know exactly according to the weight of silver in the international market. That's not a lot of money, is it? Between you and me. And then bury your dead. What happened? Didn't Ephron just a moment ago say take it for free?
כן.
So what happened? The price increased. What happened, Chaim? How do you explain this?
Don't have the answer.
He was not sincere with his
He was not
dealings.
sincere.
He was playing like the good guy, but deep in his heart he wanted the kesef.
Wow.
Why you say low?
Lou. If you. Lou.
Low.
Which word are you talking about?
Low Adoni. You say low.
In which pasuk were you quoting, sir?
Leomer,
Low
no.
Adoni.
It's a
Lo Adoni. No, my master, you listen to me. He was refuting something in the back. So my dear friends, sometimes there are people that are big talkers, and when it comes to doing, they do very little. That's what Chazal say here about the personality of Mr. Ephron. Avraham Avinu is the opposite. Do you remember when the three guests arrive? He wants to give them just a little water. Just a little water. In the end, wow, he wined and dined them. 3 tongues, veal, bread, butter, everything. Avraham Avinu is amongst those that emor, like the Mishnah says in Pirkei Avot, emor me'at va'aseh harbeh. That's what we want to be like. Small talkers, but do a lot. Ephron seems to be part of the opposite group. Big talker and
Doing less.
doing very little. That's what it seems here. Do you think that Avram is taken by this? He's going to bargain for a lower price? Pasuk Tetzayin Vayishma Avram el Ephron. Vayeshkol Avram le'Ephron. He starts weighing the monies he has. Weighing the monies. Et kesef asher diber bo'znei chet. How much? 400 shekel kesef. Monies that can be used or not. Over lesocher. These are monies that are on the counter, can be used between buyers and sellers. He's not giving some outdated paper money that's no longer a currency or something like that. Okay? When I go into the contributions office, when I have some matters to take care of, once in a while they get these old coins or old currencies that are not used. People donate monies that sometimes, very rare, but it happens. My dear friends, here it is, in the front of the eyes of everyone. Oznei b'nei chet. Avraham Avinu is so clear, so precise. He wants to give exact price. You want so much money, he's going to give it to him. Ephron is probably thinking, wow, what a deal I've made. Real estate. I've made big money on real estate. 400 silvers worth hundreds of thousands of dollars or shekels, whatever you want to call it. And you know what? Ephron was a big talker, not a big doer. Look what his name. What happened to his name in Pasuk Tetzayin, verse 16? Do you notice it?
Yes.
What happened?
He lost the vav.
He lost the vav. He lost the vav. Exactly what we talked about a moment ago. Rashi brings this point from Bereshit Rabbah, that he spoke a lot, but even a little he did not do. And the vav was taken out of his name. Okay. Until now, the negotiation has ended. The monies are transferred. Let's now see, in the eyes of God, in the eyes of the Torah and its language, if we can find a source that Avram was acting here as a goel, not as a koneh, a buyer, but rather as a goel, a redeemer. Pasuk Yud Zayin, verse 17. Vayakom sedei Ephron, asher b'machpelah, asher lifnei mamrei, השדה והמערה אשר בו, וכל העץ אשר בשדה, אשר בכל גבולו סביב. לאברהם למקנה, לעיני וחד, בכל בי שער עירו. And now the burial, Pasuk Yutet. ואחרי כן, afterwards, קבר אברהם את שרה אשתו. Where? El Marat Sedeh Machpelah. In the area of where? Al Panei Mamre. He's the friend of Avraham Avinu. Remember? Amrei, he's a Canaanite. But he helped Avraham. He apparently believes in monotheism. Remember we said in the name of Chazal, he gave advice to Avraham regarding the matters of? Brit Milah. Okay? Al Pnei Mamre Hi Chevron. You can't figure out a wrong place. It's Pnei Mamre. It's Chevron. It's in the Eretz Canaan. And now, as a summary, perhaps the last pasuk summing up this matter: Vayakom Hasadeh Vamarasher Bo Avram Lachuzat Kaver Me'et Bnei Chet. My dear friends, look at. I'm watching now. Did you see what I see? It says that the field, let me read it again, maybe I made a mistake. It says, Vayakom Hasadeh, the field got up. Wow. You don't see what I see? It says it twice. Pasuk Yud Zayin, and again in the last pasuk, Vayakom. By the way, is everyone good with me? The way I read it, Vayakom. Remember, a Tanakhic verb with two consecutive kamats, one after the other. Then the second one is a cholam. It's like an O. Vayakom Sedei Ephron. And the field got up. I beg your pardon. This sounds like planet Mars or something. Is this what do they call it? An undisclosed flying machine? What do they call it? A UFO? A UFO. What does it stand for?
Unidentified flying object.
Is this a UFO? You've heard of the word before ever? No. Yes. A UFO. You've heard of it? The field is getting up. Is it written in your Chumash or not?
It is.
So we have to understand, what is this tikuma about? Rashi, in the name of Chazal, educates us. Let's read it right away in verse 17. Tikuma haitalo. Tikuma, again I'm reading Pasuk Yud Zayin in Rashi, please see it. Tikuma haitalo. If you don't have it, look by your neighbor. This field had a tikuma, like a resurrection, like an uplifting. Shiatza miyad hediot, liad melech. It left the hands of a layman. I didn't say idiot, I said hediot. Hediot is a layman. And it went, an ordinary man, thank you, and it went into the hand of a melech. This is what is called a geula of sadeh. Until now, it was the hand of a layman, the hands of the Canaanites. God allowed for it. But God has a plan. Lizarachan natati. I've given it to Avraham Avinu. Avraham says, well, how do I do it? They are hundreds of thousands maybe, and I'm just a few people. I believe, and I believe it's mine, yet I have to be practical at the same time. I must take means, tactic, strategy. I'll act as a ger. This is what I want to explain. He, of course, as a stranger, was not born and did not grow up here. But in his mind and in his heart, he's acting as if he's a toshav. He's acting as if the land belongs to him. And therefore he's willing to pay whatever price it is. And it's not a sale, it's a tekuma. It's a geula. Because God promised to me. That's what he means to toshav. I don't know if Ephron would have said no, what would Avraham do? I don't know if he's not going to punch him in the face. It's hard for me to understand or to guess. What would Avraham do in a case where Avraham says, go take a walk, I'm not interested in giving it to you. I don't know what he's going to do. But he's convinced he must make every effort right now to make a tkuma. A tkuma is a geula. You see the guy sitting next to you? You see him? Right before the Kriyat Shema this morning, he said in the blessing of the love of God to Israel, V'tolichenu mehera komimiyut li'artzenu. Okay, my father-in-law brings this idea, Rav Horowitz. V'tolichenu, we're asking you, God, to direct us. Mehera, quickly. Komimiyut, to our Eretz. Let's get back to Eretz Yisrael standing strong, standing erect, standing with confidence, knowing that we're going to be getting back our land. The fact that the Arabs were here and the Ottoman Empire before it, and after the Arabs, the UN gave it to the British to mandate the land in order to give it to us, we believe that it belonged to us all the years. For 2,000 years we believed it was. Every year we said next year in Yerushalayim. Every day, 3 times a day, we talked about the return to Zion. No nation would talk about such a thing, no matter what the history is, only because it's godly given to us. It still belongs to us, even if we're not living there for these 2,000 years. So these psukim, talking about a tkuma, an upliftment, The field now belongs back to Avraham Avinu and the Ma'ara. This is part of what we call a geula. When you acquire a land and it comes back to you because you own it even beforehand, that's called geula. That's written in the Chumash, in Vayikra Kafeh. That's written in the Rambam. And now we're understanding that Avraham is acting as a goel, a redeemer. But he has to be practical. He has to do things that are done in the Canaanite world to use money. And he uses all the money. And now we have a deed, a title, a document that explains that it belongs to us. And the Christian world and the Muslim world, so to speak, accept the Chumash. Then they come and make changes or doesn't apply. But here is our deed to this land. My dear friends, this is the first, we want to ask the further question, why is the Torah so lengthy? Very unusual in the dialogue, in the negotiation, in all the words, back and forth, back and forth. It's very unusual for the Torah to do such a thing. And we like to explain why is it so. So I want to bring first a few answers that I saw by my dear father-in-law regarding exactly this matter. What are the understandings? The Malbim, by the way, asked this question emphatically. Why is the Torah so lengthy in this story? What can it teach us? What can we learn from this story, in this lengthy story? The Ibn Ezra, one of the earliest Rishonim from Spain, he explains that the fact that the Torah is so lengthy, from here we can learn the value of Eretz Yisrael for those that are alive and also for those that are dead. Okay, the Netziv Volozhin even adds, there is the premier area in the land of Israel for burial is the Hebron. More than any other city in Eretz Yisrael. Even Yerushalayim. That's what we're learning here. And it's the most premier place for burial. So that's why we can hear this story, how Hashem is keeping his promise to give Avraham Eretz Yisrael, including Hebron. Second, this entire lengthy story, like we said before in the name of the Ramban, the words to Avraham, V'gadla Shemech, are being fulfilled. I'm going to make your name famous. The fact that Ephron and the others look at Avraham as a Nasi Elokim, even though he's a ger, he's a stranger from another land, he's living here alone among strangers, Avraham already sees the fulfillment that God has made him famous in front of everyone. Furthermore, the Ramban says, look and notice, we can learn here the humility of Avraham Avinu, that even though God promised to give him and his seed the land forever, right now he's a few decades, he doesn't have a piece of land. And what does he have to do? He has to spend so much money for this. Did he say for 1 second, God, you know what you're doing? Didn't you promise me the land? Now why do I have to go through all these difficulties? He didn't say that once. He believed in God totally, perfectly, without a doubt. He had no hirurim, no thoughts that there's something going wrong here. He didn't complain against the Kadosh Baruch. He didn't kvetch. He didn't say anything. Rather, he went ahead, spoke with the layman of the land, even out of humility. He humbled himself before him. Another meaning, Rabbi Elazar says in the Gemara, do you know how much ink is being spilled in the quilts here? Of all the Sefer Torah for history, 3,500 years, just to write B'nai Chet, and we can count it. Here is 8 times, a 9th time is later on, and a 10th time regarding the burial of Yaakov Avinu. B'nai Chet is mentioned 10 times. Is that for naught? For no reason? Rather, if the Midrash says that B'nai Chet is mentioned 10 times, it's written 10 times because there's a parallel to the Aseret Adibrot. The 10 Commandments, which will only appear to a nation later on, hundreds of years from now, what is it important for us, for all generations, that the term B'nai Chet is mentioned 10 times? Well, it's mentioned 10 times in reference to the land of Israel. The land of Israel is like our home. It is like the tabernacle for the Torah. The Torah cannot be fulfilled in completeness outside the land of Israel. Therefore, maybe that's the reason why the Torah is so extensive here, so lengthy here, about a kinyan, an acquisition that a forefather has made here to teach us the importance of the land of Israel, just like the importance of the Ten Commandments. Furthermore, I want to say the following. This is the first kinyan of the Jewish people in the land of Israel. Remember, Avraham Avinu is representing what will come out of him. What will come out of Avraham Avinu eventually? The nation of Israel. Here, the Torah is specifying the first acquisition in the land of Israel. And what is it? Ma'arat Kvura, a burial site. Do you know how Chazal talk about the quality of the land of Hebron? It's like the worst. It's called Admat Trashim. It's such a hilly, stony area. It's and it's so hard to live in. In spite of the fact that it is a tough area, the Torah is teaching us that it's being bought. Okay? Not the most fertile land like the Chula Valley, not like the Golan Heights or the Galil, not a bunch of luxurious homes is bought. Rather, Hebron. Avraham Avinu arrives in Hebron, and here he goes out to acquire, to redeem with money, not a gift. He's making sure it doesn't get as a freebie, because if you get it as a gift, the goyim will say, well, you really never bought it, it's not yours. No. Hebron becomes one of three places that is specified in our Tanakh, that it was bought by the Jewish people, and therefore the nations of the world can never come and say, it's stolen in your hands. They still say it. They still come and say, the goyim, that it's stolen in our hands. Okay? When you make a kinyan, when you make an acquisition, you're classifying, this is my ambition. Okay? I once heard a shir from Rabbi Eliezer Kashtiel. The idea of a kinyan, this acquisition that Avraham is making, anything that you buy is an expression of your ambition. What does a person buy? Things that he has an objective to acquire. Okay? This is the most important thing for Avraham Avinu. This is his first acquisition. And remember, Hebron is considered by Chazal, like we mentioned before, the psolet of Eretz Yisrael. It's not the most beautiful, gorgeous area that is so fertile. It's called the psolet, the waste of Eretz Yisrael. Okay? Called Admat Rashim, very stony and hilly areas that you can't start tilling the land and cultivating matters. Okay? And that's why he bought a kvura, a marat kvura with a field, an approach to the area with a burial place. Number two, later on, when the meraglim, the spies are sent, Hebron breaks the faith of 8 of the 10 spies. Only 2, our sages say, based upon the psukim, decided at the beginning of their route to go into Hebron. And Hebron, where they're afraid. Hebron, there are giants there. Shishai, Talmai, Achiman, and so on and so forth. Hebron is not looked upon as an economic additive, but that's only on the outside. Avraham Avinu wants to buy Hebron because it will be now the root, the source of any later kinyanim, acquisitions that we're going to make in the land of Israel. Lot, on the other hand, in contrast, he had his eyes on what place? Kulo mashke. It's full of water, springs, water. It's the most expensive place in Eretz Yisrael. Everything grows there. Everything can be cultivated there. The most wealthy people are there. The price of housing there is so high. But what happened to stone because of this sodomite behavior? Destroyed. Destroyed. Here, Hebron is reminding us the mitzvah of chesed. Some of you know that when we go to a funeral, when we deal with the burial of our Jewish dead, it's called, in the name of Chazal, Chesed Shel Emet. Some of you heard that expression. Chesed Shel Emet. Simply because the one being buried cannot return the favor that you came to pay your respects to him. So in Eretz Yisrael, the acquisition of Hebron for the burial of Sarah, and then the other matriarchs and patriarchs, here we're learning what Chesed is about. Kalev later on, when he asks to get the city of Hebron, it's not because he wants expensive real estate. He wants a value. He wants the value of Chesed. And therefore, here, the greatest woman of Chesed, Sarah Imenu, is buried here. Chazal say the hesped, the eulogy that Avram delivered, is the hesped of Eshet Chayil Mi Yimtza, what later Shlomo HaMelech writes about. Okay? And there Shlomo HaMelech describes the chesed of a woman, and that she doesn't take anything that does not belong to her. And that's the chesed of Sarah. So my dear friends, the section here ends. There's a tkuma. There's a hitromimut. There's an exaltingness. The land is uplifted. It's now coming into the hands of the people of God, Avraham Avinu, that's buying it for the descendants later on. Someone wanted to ask a question here?
Yes, I have a question.
Ken, please, Thomas.
So the first place that is acquired is Hebron, Machon Meir.
Absolutely.
Which are the other two places that are acquired?
Shechem, bought by Yaakov Avinu. Mea Ksita. The Ksita is the currency that he used, 100 of them. And what is the third place bought by one of our ancestors? David HaMelech. The purchase of Har HaMoriah. Har HaMoriah. Okay.